Welcome to the GPLama YouTube channel and to all the details about this, Zwift COG version 2. Now, in addition to all the details and a hardware teardown, I'll do a comparison with version 1 of the COG, we'll do a sound check, and I'll finish up with a Q&A, answering a ton of the common questions I've seen come through in the last few weeks regarding this and virtual shifting in general. Now, the Zwift COG, it's a problem solver, solving the problem of being able to use multiple bikes on the one same smart trainer. Now, let's say you've got an 11-speed bike, a 12-speed bike, maybe even a 13-speed bike now. In the past, putting those bikes on the same smart trainer, you'd have to change cassettes out. Using a single COG and virtual shifting, there's no need to switch cassettes. You can use this COG and a straight chain line, and you're good to go. Another benefit of virtual shifting is that it can be done under full load, meaning there's no crunching sound between gear changes. Now, even the most quietest of quiet smart trainers let out a hell of a noise when slamming through the gears when opening a sprint. Now, the Zwift COG is less than a year old now, and there are a few versions out there. Obviously, the version 2 that I'm holding here. There's also the version 1 original, and they did make a running change to the version 1, so technically, there's 3 versions of the Zwift COG. Now, all 3 versions do exactly the same thing. They provide a 14-tooth COG, 2 spacers, which also act as chain guides or chain keepers. If you change gears inadvertently on a geared bike, you'll soon know about it and be able to change back into that straight chain line. And they're all compatible with Shimano HG or Hyperglide free hubs. It's also important to note there are no electronics in any of these units. Virtual shifting is done with the Zwift Click, the Zwift Play controllers, or the Zwift RIDE handlebars, while connected to Bluetooth to a Zwift Ready certified smart trainer. Now for a closer look at all 3 versions of the Zwift COG, starting off with the original Zwift COG version 1. We'll then pull apart the Zwift COG version 1 with the running change to see what the difference was there. And then we'll get to the Zwift COG version 2, which has a lot more to it. Okay, let's start off with these 2 here. Now, all of these are currently mounted to a Shimano HG free hub, which all Zwift COGs are compatible with. And the version 1, well, to be honest, there wasn't much to it, just 4 components, those being the lock ring, the outer spacer, the COG, and the inner spacer. That's it. And the free hub, obviously, which is on your trainer. That's COG version 1. COG version 1 with the running change. Exactly the same components, except here's where the difference is. So I'll put that one there. Okay, and the free hub there. Right. The difference right here is in the COG tooth profile. The running change made to COG version 1.05, or whatever you want to call this one, is that the tooth profile on the very, very top is less pointed and overall a little thicker. Now, there really isn't much in it, but apparently this is a little quieter than the original. And that's it. That's the original version 1. That's version 1 with the running change. And if you're ever in a position where you need to install these from scratch, very easy. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Back onto any Shimano HG Hyperglide compatible free hub. Snug down, not very tight at all. That and that are plastic. Your standard cassettes are not. So you can really wrench those down. For the COG, 5 Newton meters, which is about enough so you can grab it by hand and undo it if need be. Okay, that's the original version 1 right there. Version 1 with the running change, again, very easy to put together. The lip goes to the inside on both of those. And done. Okay. So, to tell which one you have, it's kind of difficult. But let me pull out a ruler to try and measure the top of the tooth there. Okay, top of the tooth, you're looking at about 2 millimeters across on the OG, original version 1. And the updated one, you're looking at about 3 millimeters across on the top tooth profile on the one with the running change. So if you do need to determine which one you have, that might give you an indication. Okay, version 1, done and dusted. They've effectively been sunset. Version 2 is what it's all about. Now, there's a lot that goes into this, and when I first saw it, I was quite impressed. Okay, the first difference here is that it has a manual adjustment of 10 different positions, and each click moves the COG out 0.6 of a millimeter. So with 10 positions, you get 6 millimeters of adjustment, and you can pretty much see that moving out, and the last click, 10, and so you can just keep moving it like so, without having to wind it forward and back. Like so, and okay, back to position number 1. And the first question I had with this is, how do you stop it from rattling when I first saw it? And it's spring-loaded. So they've thought of that as well. It's a very neat bit of kit, this. So what's it made of? What do you need to do if you happen to take this off the free hub and it falls apart? Well, let's have a look. Now that is a plastic lock ring on that. So again, 5 Newton meters. Plastic lock ring. Outer cap that is spring-loaded. There is a rubber washer / rubber band in there. I'm guessing that's going to reduce some noise. The COG, again with a rubber band on the inside of that as well, possibly to reduce noise. And the tooth profile of this one, same as the running change made to version 1.05, 1.1, whatever you want to call that one. And there's about a 3mm tooth profile on the top. That's the COG, and here's where the magic happens. There's that inner component, that, and obviously the free hub. So all of these make up the Zwift COG version 2. Now, to put these back on a free hub or on any free hub, it's pretty straightforward, but not as easy as the COG version 1. You need to find the large gap on the Shimano HG free hub and line a few things up with that. So you can see right here on the COG, this does have a specific tooth profile that installs there. That one goes on top, like so. And that's the third part goes on again. The tooth profile has to match on the HG free hub. Okay, now that's our adjustment tool. Then it's onto the COG with the side with the edge or the lip and the rubber washer on the inside. That presses into there like so. And finally, the outboard component also has a specific tooth profile. We need to match up from the large into the large in here. There we go, done and done, pushed in. That is, well, it's in position 10 actually, so let me, bang. Right, now we can get the lock ring on a little easier by hand. And a Shimano compatible lock ring tool comes in handy for the final snug down of about 5. Okay, no more than that. All right, so there we are. Version 2, the updated version 1, and the original version 1 of the Zwift COG. No electronics inside these. They all set out to do exactly the same thing by providing you a single 14-tooth COG positioned somewhere in the middle of your free hub. But this one having that pretty cool adjustability. Onto the sound checks, starting off with the Zwift COG version 1, the original, on the Zwift RIDE frame on the Jet Black Victory trainer. And it's a little louder on this chain than it was on my geared bike. I think I was using one of my Shimano road bikes on virtual shifting early on. But with this chain in particular, a bit of a tinny noise to it. Now, I'm not applying any filtering. I'll leave it as is, as recorded with both cameras. And there's a little bit of road noise, or a little bit of drivetrain noise, I guess you'd call it indoors. There's no road indoors, is there? Alright, swap out of that. This is just taking the COG version 1 off that free hub and installing the second COG version 1.05, 1.1, whatever you call it. On with the Zwift RIDE frame. And back into exactly the same test again. And that is significantly quieter.
with the Zwift RIDE chain. Another angle. Now this is 90 RPM, give or take a few, at 200 watts erg mode. Alright, that's version 1 with the running change made. Now, COG version 2. And for this change, I'm swapping out the entire free hub with the COG version 2.0 cassette already installed. Alright, bike back on, and away we go. And into the same test again. 90 RPM, 200 watt erg steady state. Okay, now to put all three together in quick succession, original COG, updated COG version 1, and COG version 2.0. So there we go, there's the sound results with the cameras as recorded.
Okay, before getting into the Q&A, just a quick reminder, if you're not already a subscriber to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really keeps the wheels turning here, so to speak, in the Llama Lab. Okay, let's get into the Q&A, starting off with which COG should I get? Well, version 2 is going to be the new standard. So if you're buying brand new, that's the one you're going to get right there. As mentioned early on, they are all compatible with Shimano HG free hubs. And if you're buying online, the Click and COG upgrade pack, you'll have an option to choose multi-trainer free hub or no free hub. Now, if you're buying to install on a trainer that you already have, you've already got a free hub. So I'll be choosing no free hub, where this thing just comes on a little sliding plastic mount and will go straight onto your existing free hub. No wastage there. Trainer compatibility, which trainers support virtual shifting? Zwift have made that a little easier in the last few months, releasing the Zwift RIDE certification. So just look for that little tag on your trainer manufacturer website or wherever you're buying your trainer, and you should be good to go. Next up, how do I configure my trainer for the Zwift COG and Zwift RIDE frame? You'll need to configure your trainer for 142mm through axle configuration. Each trainer will have their own end caps or adapters to use to get it into that configuration, and it's really important to use those adapters too. There needs to be enough room for the frame and the COG to spin. Onto what tools do I need? Well, at a minimum, you'll need a lock ring tool. You see me take these things off before in the video, so a lock ring tool for Shimano free hubs, always handy to have one of those in the kit. You'll need a chain whip to remove the cassette from your current trainer if you're replacing your current cassette with this COG, and or possibly a 14mm open-ended wrench if you're changing everything, including the free hub over. Next question on the list here, do you need to upgrade if you have the version 1 of the Zwift COG? And the answer is no, they do exactly the same thing. If you've got an original, the OG, that is a little noisier, and switching over to the version 2 is going to reduce noise maybe a little bit, depending on the chain you use, but that's the only difference. Oh, and this is in cool orange as well. And yes, it does have the ability to change position if need be. Next on my list here, do you need a COG at all to use virtual shifting? And the answer is no. You can use virtual shifting with your own cassette as it is right now, but you'll need the Zwift Click, the Zwift Play controllers, and a compatible trainer to enable virtual shifting. Which leads me to the next question. Do you need the Zwift RIDE frame to use virtual shifting? No, you can use virtual shifting on your normal bike. That's what this is all about in the first place. The Zwift RIDE frame is just effectively a single speed that goes onto this. Another query I've seen over on Reddit this time, which Zwift COG comes with the Zwift RIDE frame? It's obviously the new Zwift COG version 2, but with the Zwift frame that comes without the smart trainer, you're not going to get a free hub. This comes on a little plastic holder where you remove your cassette from your existing compatible trainer and slide this one on. So the tools required for that job, you'll need a chain whip and a lock ring tool to remove your existing cassette from your trainer, and the lock ring tool to install the new COG. And you're good to go. Finally today, what are the downsides of virtual shifting? And I thought I'd quickly touch on this one because everyone's singing the praises of virtual shifting, including myself. It's very convenient, works very, very well. But what are those downsides? And I will admit it's not for everyone. Let me explain why. Now, on a standard trainer with a standard bike and standard gearing, that flywheel speed is determined by the gear you're in and how hard you're pushing, your RPMs. If you're in a big gear, flying along, that RPM will be high, the trainer will feel awesome, you're like riding down a road with a tailwind. Now with virtual shifting and only one physical gear, your flywheel speed is locked to your cadence. And depending on a number of factors, that might not be for everyone. For things like erg mode and hill climbing and just casually riding along, it's probably going to be fine. But if you're looking for that specific muscle activation that's going to replicate outdoors for, say, a tailwind time trial or some really big gear flat road efforts, this may not be for you. Anyhow, a topic definitely for another day. And lastly today, can the Zwift COG be used outdoors? And the answer to that is absolutely it can. But don't try this at home. I do not recommend doing this. But I must admit, it was a bit of fun and did work perfectly on my 12-speed Giant. Okay, we'll leave it there for today. Thanks for watching this one. As always, if you found it informative, give it a thumbs up. I've already mentioned about subscribing, so I won't say it again. But do subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And we'll see you soon.